Hey, this is Boran Doulos with the Creative Ache podcast, where we discuss the God-given passion, pain, and purpose for the creative individual. Hello and welcome to the Creative Ache podcast. I'm your host, Boran, and I am a multi-instrumentalist, singer, songwriter, and composer, as well as a musical intercessor at the International House of Prayer. I have several music albums out under varying artists and genres. You can find them wherever you stream music. And with this podcast, it's my desire to encourage and exhort artistic people like yourself to faithfully steward your God-given creative ache. Now today, we're going to be discussing the subject of jealousy or envy as a creative person and how it can negatively impact and thwart your creative pursuits. I want to start with a verse. Some of you might know this pretty well. James 3, verse 16 says, "For where you have envy and selfish ambition, there you will find disorder and every evil practice." Now, that of course applies to far more than art, but in the subject of being a creative individual, I want to specifically discuss how jealousy, how envy can hinder your creative growth and ultimately poison the output that you have as an artist. There's a very simple quote by President Theodore Roosevelt. It says, "Comparison is the thief of joy." And I think of joy as not just happiness, but fulfillment, being fulfilled in what you do. And comparison is certainly one of the things that most commonly infects and influences artists. Whenever we see art and we see other people functioning in their gifting, it's not hard to find that we're being envious or jealous, maybe of their position, of their ability, of their influence, of their income, or maybe it manifests in a way that is more subtle, where we think our influence is better, our ability is better, our income is better, and therefore that makes us better. That's still a sense of jealousy, a sense of envy, because we're painting a picture of something that we need to have in order to be successful or be valuable as individuals. So let's first discuss the destructive nature that jealousy has on us as creatives. Jealousy restricts our creative output. What happens is when we're operating in jealousy, we're no longer able to focus on creating the most true and authentic and well-aimed art that is within us, because we're automatically distracted by something that is outside of us. And that causes us to pivot the direction that we're moving. We might still think that we're creating good stuff, and we might even think that we're doing better because of it. But the fact is, you were given a unique perspective for your form of art to express. And if your focus is on something outside of you, then you are unable to properly discern the thing that was put in you. Therefore, you definitely cannot maximize the way that it is expressed. Jealousy blinds us to our own potential and our own value as artists. You have a value that is way beyond your comprehension. We don't need to gain value through our creative work, but we do need to be able to see our value, at least to an extent, and we need to be able to see our potential. I don't think we'll ever see it in fullness, but we do need to be able to see that there's an element of our creativity that way exceeds where we're at today. And that becomes motivating, because now I want to pursue being faithful and uncovering all of those hidden areas of creativity that are within me. And I know that jealousy actually restricts me and blinds me from seeing those things clearly. So again, jealousy is destructive in nature. It doesn't produce, it kills. Now, the effects of jealousy on creative output are measurable. There are common effects of jealousy, comparison, and self-doubt, stifled inspiration. Whenever we are creating something, I'll use myself as an example. If I'm writing music and I'm hearing somebody else's music, it's one thing to be influenced by it in a positive way, right? Inspired. But it's another thing to look at that and say, oh, I can do that better, or I wish I could do that. Because now, again, I'm not able to clearly see what I need to see in order to express the thing that's within me. And jealousy, especially in the form of comparison, usually ends up causing me to doubt myself. I then doubt my ability to produce the thing that I'm made to produce. I can no longer truly express myself in the way that I was designed to because I don't see myself clearly. I doubt my potential. I doubt my ability. And of course, then my inspiration is stifled. Why am I putting much effort into it anyway? If I don't feel like it, maybe I shouldn't do it. Jealousy poisons our creative output. It changes the way that we create. And especially if we're aiming to be faithful to God, it intercepts that creativity. As an artist myself who expresses in the form of music, I could say that I've often found myself extraordinarily jealous. I've been an artist since I was 12 years old, and a lot of my early years were filled with wonder and awe in music. That's what drove me. I just had to write the things I was hearing. But the more I got involved in the music scene, the more I saw other people comparing and being jealous. And of course, that stirred within me the natural fleshly response of jealousy of my own. So then I began writing and performing in ways that were compensating for what I perceived as weakness or insufficiency, or at least believing I can do better than this person over here. And what's really funny about that is music really has nothing to do with better. If I hit an E flat and I'm in the key of C major, well, then I just turned it into a minor. If I accidentally sing a note, that's one thing, but even then, that's subjective. A lot of accidents end up becoming beautiful to somebody. So saying that I can do something better in any field of art is really just the fruit of comparison, and I had a lot of that. And it took me years to realize how negatively that was affecting me, especially because I could see what I used to write before that had a sense of freedom, a sense of willingness to push the boundaries, a sense of comfortability. Whereas in later years, I felt my stuff feels so tight and restrictive and my voice feels strained and I'm trying so hard to do something that I don't even really know if I'm supposed to do. So how do we overcome this? How do we overcome jealousy as creatives that are aiming to be faithful with our gifts to God? Well, in the tapestry of life, every artist's thread is essential. We have to be able to celebrate diversity, even if we don't necessarily like it. If somebody is expressing something that we don't particularly enjoy, we have to be able to embrace that as art. Because in the same token as somebody having something we don't necessarily prefer, there's also inevitably going to be something that we are jealous of. And if we haven't cleaned up the way that we perceive those things, then when we are jealous, we are going to wish that we had the role that the other thread does in the tapestry. And if that's the case, then we're not going to fit. We're not going to have the right color structure. We're not going to bring the right thing to the piece that it is lacking. So, overcoming jealousy is very important, and we can do it honestly and quite simply. Not saying it's easy, but it is simple, by expressing and internalizing gratitude. Gratitude is a powerful force. It causes us to celebrate others. It causes us to celebrate what others do, and it causes us to be in a place of joy and peace about what we have. So if we embrace gratitude, or if we more or less express and internalize gratitude, we're automatically combating this thing that can kill our creativity in jealousy. Gratitude in my own life is something that I've put into practice a whole lot. And I'll say it this way. There were so many times I told myself that I'm grateful when I did not feel grateful. I was jealous of what someone else had, but I would express a gratitude toward them for producing what they did in their own form of art. And in my own heart, I would choose to look at the things in them that I'm grateful for, which honestly would then shift my heart to a place where, now I'm actually seeing that I needed something that they're producing, when before I was trying to push it away or minimize it. Again, in the tapestry of life, every person's thread is essential. It's necessary. If we are all functioning in a place of gratitude and celebrating each other and functioning clean and clear and focused in our own creative assignment, then the overall cacophony becomes a symphony. We become part of a bigger work of art instead of trying to make something happen on our own. So when jealousy knocks at the door, respond with gratitude. I've put that into practice in my own life, and I really have seen tremendous benefit from it. So in closing, I want to remind you that as we overcome this absolutely common and normal thing in creativity that is jealousy, we will become more fruitful, and we will inspire others to more fruitfulness around us. We'll become that tapestry, and we ourselves being the thread in the right place and the right color that allows the expression to be authentic, powerful, and beautiful. So I encourage you to embrace others' creativity with confidence in your own. And again, when jealousy is knocking at your door, as it most certainly does and will, respond with gratitude. Your creativity is too important. The artistry that is put inside of you is way too valuable to risk killing it with jealousy. Too many people depend on what you have to offer in your creative pursuits, and God Himself is expecting faithfulness from you in that area. So that's going to do it for today's episode. I hope that you enjoyed it and benefited from this. I'm talking myself into these things sometimes, so jealousy is by no means something that I don't wrestle with on a very regular basis, but I've tasted freedom in it, and I know that you will too. So if you want to keep up with me, a good way to do that is to follow me on Instagram at borandoulos.music. And if you're watching this on YouTube, go ahead and hit the like button, and also subscribe to my channel, as I'll put out more podcast episodes like this, but I will also have all sorts of other musical things that I'm doing shown here on this channel. Thank you so much for listening, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode of the Creative Ache podcast.